Electricity is an integral part of our everyday life. We don't really think about it, but we use it constantly. From the smallest households to the largest cities. Electricity is often generated in large-scale waste incineration plants or coal-fired power stations. They're built outside of towns, and what many people do not know is that they're not very efficient. They usually generate heat, which is transformed into electricity using a turbine process. The waste heat cannot be used completely, but rather is given off into the air or a nearby river. In other words, a large amount of energy is wasted. In many regions around the world, waste is deposited on large landfills or simply thrown into rivers, which ultimately carry it into the sea. At the same time, economic and population growth means that the energy demand in many newly industrialized and developing countries is rising constantly. Huge investments are needed to develop new power grids or upgrade existing ones to meet demand. We were convinced there must be a more practical way. So we spent a long time researching the subject and looked into whether German energy research might offer solutions to these problems. And the answer is yes. A small power plant that not only generates electricity, but also efficiently uses the waste heat generated. It can be installed exactly where it's needed. We call it TERRASYS. The aim is to transform biomass and selected waste products into electricity directly on site. An innovative energy monitoring system will make it flexible and reliable, and provides its operators with total and round-the-clock independence from the existing power grid. This will also make it economically viable. The compact TERRASYS has a small footprint and can be set up practically anywhere. For example, next to hotels, next to hospitals, airports, agricultural operations and shopping centres, or next to your company. How does TERRASYS work? Actually, it's quite simple. TERRASYS makes use of waste products to be found at the operator's site or collected from around the local region. These could be shredded plastic bags or bottles, but also wood chips and biomass waste. In other words, things that would otherwise be thrown away as rubbish. This waste is burnt in a two-step process at precise temperatures in a so-called fluidized bed incinerator. This is done with the minimum possible emissions. The heat generated is used to drive a state-of-the-art micro-turbine which generates the electricity. And because we don't want to waste any energy, we also use the waste heat generated in the process. This heat stored in hot water is changed into cold water for air conditioning. As a result, the heat from the power plant can be used, for instance, to cool buildings. Or you can use the heat to process salt water into drinking water. In other words, you solve a waste issue, relieve the burden on the power grid, save electricity on building cooling and drinking water supply, and what's more, are completely independent of rising global prices for electricity and oil. And we've taken it one step further. We will design TERRASYS as a modular system. That means if you want to, you can add further environmentally friendly energy production units to the plant. This is what is known as a hybrid power plant. For example, if you live in a very sunny region, you have the option of adding a solar thermal component to your TERRASYS plant. When the sun is shining, 50% of the thermal output is generated by waste incineration, and the other 50% by the solar mirror. At night or on dull, cloudy days, the waste incinerator automatically takes up the slack to ensure constant 100% output. Other renewable energies such as photovoltaics, hydro and wind energy can also be integrated into the micro-power grid. We call this a virtual power plant. TERRASYS will be designed as a turnkey container system in 2 different sizes. So now you know a little about TERRASYS, you probably would like to know who we actually are and why we engage in this issue. We are Autark, a network project that is part of the ZIM-NEMO program and funded by the German Federal Ministry of Economics and Technology. We're managed by ARGIT in the technology region of Aachen. Our goal was to develop a new project that would bring together leading industry partners and universities to develop a solution for global markets. Each one of us and each of our partners brings their own special expertise to the development of TERRASYS. And now it is time to implement the results. A well thought out, globally unique system that is under development now. We look forward to demonstrating this unique innovation to you.